How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IDW Collection Volume 15 and The Last Ronin, the covers. Both of these are oversized hardcovers from IDW. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before getting started, I do want to thank the folks at IDW for sending us advanced copies of these books. These books are due out in the direct market and book market, well, on different dates, actually. The book on the right-hand side is coming out first. That comes out on June 13th everywhere. And Volume 15 comes out on July 18th. Although I saw some dates that had it earlier, but I think July 18th is what I see for book market and direct market as the latest date. So that's what we're going to be looking at first, is this book. But before we do, let's take a look at both of them together here. There is no dust jacket. It's just art on board. And they're the same dimensions as the previous deluxe editions. So taking a look at the spines, still the same design for the TMNT IDW collection. You have the volume number up there, TMNT and IDW. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over here, The Last Ronin, the covers, IDW, and that's the same design for the actual Ronin hardcover. And then the backs of the books. The IDW Collection, Volume 15, retailing for $59.99, and the covers, that collection right there, is $34.99. Again, there is no dust jacket, just art on the hardcover. That's Karai back there. As a matter of fact, I forgot to mention that. That is Karai on the cover. They put a different character on each cover of these IDW collections. So let's take a look at what they would actually look like on your shelf if you've been getting all the TMNT IDW collections since Volume 1. Keep in mind, I think the second and third printings of the books didn't have a ribbon like the first printings and then afterwards. I don't know why that is. But these are known as evergreen, meaning that they keep them in print as long as they hold a license. And here's what The Last Ronin, the covers, looks like right next to The Last Ronin. And I keep those as the bookend because to me that always feels like the definitive ending. No matter if it's the TV show, the movies, the video games, no matter what incarnation of the comics, it feels like the definitive ending to everything Turtles. Alright, so we're going to be looking at this volume first. Before I do look at this one, I will say the covers will spoil some things for you. So if you haven't read The Last Ronin, strongly advise maybe not even looking at that, skipping over that, and just watching this. Because I try to be spoiler-free as much as I can. I talk about the premise of the books. I don't really go into the hows and whys when I do my overviews. But I would hate for a cover to ruin the whole twist of the comic over here for you. So, alright. Let's go ahead and start with Volume 15. Alright, let's go ahead and get this open. We have Karai there on the cover. We have this pattern, almost like a gradient gray right here. This picture of Bebop. Then these two new characters with a little bit of behind the scenes as to how this book got put together. And you kick it off with the Jennika 2 issue number 1 miniseries. So this contains Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 113 to 124, and then the Jennika 2 miniseries, which is 6 issues. So it's the second miniseries of her character. What I love, first of all, about these collections is that they are put in the best recommended reading order. They did the same thing with Transformers and G.I. Joe, and they did the same thing with Turtles, and I love it, including all the one-shots and mini-series, or micro-series, the crossovers, and whatever event they took place in, like the Ghostbusters comic. They did the very best mapping they could, and I love that. Unless it's like a retro retconning of something that happened in the past, then they really can't do anything about that, but they can put it in future volumes. So we do kick it off with the Jennika second miniseries, issue number 1, called Monsters. It's a 3-part story, and I love the way that it's broken up. You probably noticed here that you have the first 3 issues, and then you get to the next story arc, and then you have issues 4, 5, and 6, and then the other stories that are collected in here from Ninja Turtles. Sophie Campbell's the main writer on the ongoing series, but it is Bram Revel is the writer and artist on the first 3 parts of the Jenica miniseries, while Rhonda Pattison is the writer of the second part of the miniseries there, with Jody Nishijima doing the artwork. Now, Sophie Campbell does draw and write the first story arc. The second story arc, she's just the artist on, and Jody Nishijima is the main artist on. And I believe, yeah, Ken Gehring is also a fill-in artist. All right, so we've gone past the big battle with what happened in issue 100. So now we're into what I like to call the Golden Age of Mutants, because now we have a mutant town. Really reminds me a lot of what Grant Morrison did in the pages of New X-Men, and introducing us to the whole mutant town and mutant city. But now, of course, it's anthropomorphic animals, humans that have turned into anthropomorphic animals, animals that have turned into anthropomorphic animals, and they're all kind of put together inside of this mutant town. And the first story arc is all about Jenica exploring this town and how some of the animals are being drugged and turning violent. Kind of like the story of the... Oh my gosh, I cannot remember. I always think of Beastars, even though it's not Beastars. The Disney movie with the bunny, the cop bunny. Oh my gosh, what the heck is that name? Anyway, I'll think about it later. But anyway, that's what the storyline is. And we have the return of an old villain that comes in here. It's a little bit of a twist. When it is revealed what exactly is happening to the mutant town animals, or the characters that are living there. And then we get to issue 113, which kicks off the first story arc of Ninja Turtles, and again written by Sophie Campbell. So this goes from issue 113 to 117. So it's all about this character that is traveling through time. Her name is Lita, and she's coming back to the past, even though Rennet is like, what are you doing? You're going to break all kinds of rules, because she feels like she has to stop something from happening. Then we have Kurai and her gang of mutants, and she feels like she needs to get the upper hand on the Splinter Dojo, so she has come across these two mutants that will kind of uneven those odds. And it's these two characters that, if you're familiar with the movie Secret of the Ooze, then you immediately recognize them, especially as soon as they say Mama, and they talk really dumb, and that is Toka and Razar. I always loved those toys when I was a kid. That's why I'm getting the stupid Super 7 toys. It's so interesting to see how the Turtles have just grown. You know, coming from the first volume, if you're reading it, I always said the first volume is a little bit of a slow burn, but the second volume is when it starts picking up, and oh my gosh, it's such a freaking great ride. Sophie Campbell's era after issue 100 feels more like, let's keep this family growing. And people complained in volume 13 that there weren't, volume 14, that there wasn't a lot of action, that just a lot of people talking and getting to know them. But you know, the way that I feel about it, I kind of feel the same about the Willingham's run on Fables. Like, after the big grand battle, what do? It's very little you can do, because you just defeated the big bad. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but what do you do after that? Well, you still make more baddies out there to fight them, and then you start doing a lot more character development and character studies, which I feel like that's what Sophie is doing. And I don't mind the calm after the storm, or I guess before the storm too, but the second story arc in here does pick up a lot of the action that's missing from these previous stories. But Lita comes and tells the Turtles, look, this is what's going to happen. I'm here to prevent this. There's going to be a big war if this happens, and we can't have this happen. Now, she does have, or she is related to one of the Turtles, so there's a little bit of twist in that, maybe, what she ends up calling him. And this all has to do with Jenica and how she has turned towards the violent side and about balancing her life. So, with Master Splinter missing in action, the Turtles have to take it upon themselves and all these other mutant characters to try to calm her down, because she is finally able to confront the person that almost killed her. So that's what this is about. It's a really cute relationship between Sheena and Mikey right here. And yes, the showdown between Toka and Razar against the Turtles. Then we have the second part of the Jenica series, which fits in nice because it's after the first story arc with Lita, the time traveler. I always like time travel stories. The second story arc that Sophie Campbell writes, this is about the Return of Hobb. There's also a couple of other returning characters, including Casey Jones, and he's been gone for a while. It's weird, like I was saying, like if you go back to the first volume, how many mutants there aren't. You just have a handful, and everybody else is a human. And you still have humans, like Baxter Stockman still plays a big role in all of this. But it's mostly focused on the mutant characters. Like, they have their own town. It's just kind of crazy to see where it started and where it is. Now, this particular volume right here, again, retails for $59.99, and it has 432 pages. Let's look at the extras in the back. One thing you probably have noticed, or you already knew this because you have the previous volumes, is that they put the variant covers on the opposite side of the standard edition covers. But all the way in the back is where you're going to find the rest of the variant covers. And there's some beautiful pieces back here. And it's also good to see Sophie draw. I didn't mention that I really liked her art style. She's one of my favorites that drew Ninja Turtles when it was Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz that were writing the stories. So the book does have sewn binding, and there's what the eye looks like. It does lay over really nice, and it comes with a ribbon. Alright, let's look at The Last Ronin, the covers. So, again, I want to stress, spoilers, even if it's minor spoilers. I've looked at some of these, and some of them could be big spoilers. And I know there are some red herring covers out there, too, that they put in here that make you believe it's one turtle. Because, remember, the story of The Last Ronin, it's the last remaining turtle. The rest of his brothers are dead, and he's getting revenge on the people responsible for it. That's what The Last Ronin is. So, if you've not read it, you may not know who the turtle is. But what I was saying about the red herring, there are pictures of Mikey in here being the last Ronin. There are pictures of Leo. There are pictures of Donnie. And there's pictures of Raph being the last Ronin. So, just in case, though. Alright, since we're looking at here, holy crap, I didn't realize how many covers there were for The Last Ronin. Because I have the hardcover collection, and hardly any of these are in there. I had just one of the covers that I thought, oh, okay, this has to be just one of 10. Nope. There's 200 pages collected in here. And oh my gosh, it felt like every artist just wanted to have a crack at drawing The Last Ronin. And I feel like some artists weren't told who The Last Ronin was going to be, so their interpretation of The Last Ronin is pretty interesting. Some of them are done in this spread page format, but most of them are in the full splash page format. You have sometimes the pencils, like you saw that, Kevin. That's so freaking awesome. Like right here, this is of course the cover, and then you have the original sketch and cover sketches by Eastman. So sometimes you get the sketch, and then sometimes you just get the piece of art. But there's also back covers that are collected in here, and some that are just absolutely freaking stunning. I'm not going to go through each of these, because I want people that have bought this to enjoy it for themselves and be surprised whenever it comes out. I believe June 13th is the latest date. Again, some red herrings if you're here trying to figure out who the last Ronin is. And then some that are pretty accurate to what happened in the story. And there are comic book artists in here that were inspired by Turtles, and it's so cool to see them draw these anthropomorphic characters. I was a little saddened that not outside of the Turtles, not a lot of other characters were drawn, but it makes sense when you're talking about this particular story. It is The Last Ronin we're talking about. So this is really cool. Like I mentioned, the finished piece and then the penciled. Like, I love black and white. You know, it makes me appreciate the art so much more. And you can probably tell that sometimes the pages are all full pages, and then the back covers are usually framed, or vice versa. Sometimes the front covers are framed, and the back covers are full splash pages. But they do give credit. For example, right here, retailer exclusive. This is by Ken Berube. And then down here, opposite, retailer exclusive by In-Hyuk Lee. So they tell you what the covers originally came from, and who the artist was. Pretty damn cool. And there's really no behind the scenes. Like, there's no text or anything that about the process of the art. See, this is what I mean by red herring. You don't know who he could be unless you've read it already. I like this. This is freaking awesome right here. This is a retailer exclusive. That's the back cover, and that's the front cover. Yeah, so ones that are spread pages, they do have to put them in frames so they can give credit to the artist. Let's skip some. Oh my gosh. So freaking awesome. This was one of their most popular stories. All the way in the back is where you're going to see the special thanks to the sellers who helped make this series a success. I had no idea there were that many variants. This is such a cool addition to the last Ronin hardcover. Now, what I hope, of course, whenever the series is all said and done, is, hey, let's make one big book and put all the covers with the big book as extras. Now, this one also has sewn binding, but no ribbon. It's only 200 pages, $34.99. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these books, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code Near Mint Condition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you are still getting the IDW collections, if you wish they had renumbered them after the big battle in issue 100. If you got the last Ronin and you're going to pick this up, or you're hoping someday, maybe, when they're done with all the last Ronin stories, because we know we have another one coming out, they'll collect them all in one big oversized hardcover, including all the covers. But that was it for the video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.